Hi, and welcome to the latest Reasonable Measures podcast. I'm Chris Buntel from Tangibly, and we have a different format for today. We're actually having a guest speaker talk with me about an interesting topic. So I'm really happy to have Raluca David from the Insight Contracts law firm in France join us. So we're extremely international today. I'm calling from Singapore. So it's great to have you here.
Thank you so much, Chris. It's great to be here. Thank you for the invitation, and I'm really looking forward to chatting together.
Fantastic. And, we wanted to pick a really interesting topic, but not one that's academically interesting, kind of real life interesting, where we're getting these questions from our clients and our contacts. And we really wanted to talk about the different categories of information, things like the general know how of people doing their job versus company confidential information, all the way up to trade secrets. And just to start off, like, why does this matter? Why did you suggest this as a great topic? And I do agree, it's an amazing topic.
Well, because before we can even get to the topic of trade secrets, I have so many clients so biotechs and medtechs in particular, that ask me, well, what do I have? And how do I make the difference between my employees' personal professional expertise and my own company's confidential know-how, which I want to protect?
Yeah, and it's a great point because people get hired to do a job because they're really good at what they do. Like they're a fantastic flow cytometer operator, or they're really good at radiology, or whatever their field of expertise is. That's a good thing, and that's why they're being hired from their old job to go to their new job. So we often joke that you can't erase people's brains when they leave your company. It's too bad. Like, actually, that would make this a lot easier. But you know, there is a lot of information from my view that it's okay to move, like just general knowledge and general skills of people in that industry. That's not a bad thing. That's actually quite good.
This is exactly the strength and one of the weaknesses of very niche industries like biotech and medtech. They use very specialized experts, and they need them, and that's the strength. And at the same time, when you have someone with such expertise that moves from company to company, that's where the lines get blurred between uh, personal professional expertise and confidential company know-how.
And I'm not sure if you agree, but sometimes it's hard to tell the difference. Like that line, it's not
Yes.
even a line. It's just this blurry mess. And it's often a little challenging to figure out which category a piece of information falls in.
Well, how about first I maybe start by defining the three main ideas: the professional expertise, the company know-how, and trade secrets, and
Sure.
how they all work together. Um, as I've said, the professional expertise is what you as an individual take with you from job to job. It's your skills, it's your education, it's your experience. The confidential company know-how is different. It's the insight playbook. It's the methods, the data, the strategy of your company. That's what gives your company the competitive advantage. And trade secrets are a legal category of know-how. They have commercial value, they are secret, and the company has taken real steps to protect it. And this distinction really matters because that's what gives clarity to the employees themselves to know what they can use in their everyday job and what they can take with them as they move on. And it's what protects the company's confidential information in general.
Yeah. And it's interesting because when someone moves jobs from company one to company two, actually all three categories are in their brain. So they're aware of, the company secrets, the company playbook, as well as trade secrets. They just aren't supposed to use them or disclose them when they move to the new job. Like
This is
it's easy if it's a piece of paper. Like you just say, don't bring this paper with you when you leave the company. That's kind of simple, but it can get tricky or challenging when it's in their brain because again, you can't zap them and make it go away.
This is why whenever I have biotech or medtech clients that tell me, well, we don't really have time, we just want you to identify this know-how so that we can protect it as a trade secret. We don't have time for training. I refuse to work like that. Because basically it's like building the best airplane ever and not having the pilot learn how to fly it, because you've got an employee that will not understand why we're doing this or how to protect the information. And what you just said in terms of you cannot erase their brain when they leave, however, you can train it over the years that they've been with the company to know the difference, because you've done the work of identifying the company know-how and separating it and teaching them what the difference is between their own professional expertise and the company know-how. So then when you actually do the outboarding, which is actually a concept that is very new and just arrived in France, it's easier. They had already been made aware over the years of working there, and then you just have to remind them. It's not perfect, but it's definitely lowering the risk of leaks or of disputes down the road.
Yeah, and I think it's important that the employee's last day when they're getting ready to leave should not be the first time they hear about this stuff.
Correct.
Like there's something
Correct.
really, really wrong with your process if this is, new news to them. Yeah, ideally, HR has taken an active role both in the onboarding and offboarding to control these risks. And like you said, training, it's probably the number one best thing you can do to lower your risk. And again, tangibly, we often say if you only do one thing, train your people because it
Correct.
pays off tremendously. Like we hope you do more than one thing, but yeah, if you're only going to do one, that should be your first choice.
Well, you have to map the information first. So you have to actually define what's general professional expertise, what's your company's confidential know-how, and which items qualify as trade secrets. And then you need to train your people to tell them, look, we've identified this, this, and this, and now you need to put protections in place, like access controls, contracts, updates, audits, because your science evolves. So should your legal protection strategy. But nothing is more important as company culture, training your people.
Yeah, it all kind of fits together into a cohesive package of
Exactly.
taking trade secrets seriously and confidential information seriously and handling them appropriately to preserve their value and lower your risk. It all kind of fits together almost like a jigsaw puzzle.
I call it my 5-step life cycle, because it's a life cycle. We start at one point, but then it has to repeat. The training, it has to become a yearly awareness session at least. The audits have to just, see how has my technology evolved? Is the company know-how evolved compared to the professional expertise of the new experts that we hired? It's important to keep at it. It's a life cycle.
Definitely. And in your experience, are medical and biotech and these kind of fields more challenging or more difficult than other industries, or are there special things that you have to handle a little differently than if you were working for a cement company client, for example?
Well, just as there are similar challenges as with any heavily R&D industry. Um, the as we've mentioned before, the fact that the fact that basically they have such strong experts in such niche subjects that really blurs the line between professional expertise and the company's know-how. And I think that's the biggest challenge, especially in biotech and medtech, because uh, many, if not most, of the CEOs are scientists at heart, or even still working with R&D team. They see the science evolve. And it's so related to they've done maybe a PhD in it in their youth, and it's been their whole life. So much so that within not only their own minds, but for the company, their professional expertise is very hard to be separated from the company know-how, especially when they've been with the company maybe from the creation for 10 years. It's all very interrelated, which is why I think having an outside counsel come in and help and actually analyze each like really the science itself, it's on a case by case basis, to be able to just take a look at it and make sure you identify the difference.
Well, and scientists love to share. And like in some ways it's a great thing, and in some ways it's a horrible thing. It's culturally, especially through university times,
Yes.
yeah, they're encouraged to publish and present and go to conferences and make the world a better place through their research, which again, in some ways is a good thing. You want to encourage that. But at the same time, you're trying to protect all of the time and effort and innovation that's developed at their company employer. So it sometimes can be hard to balance those two.
I've had that question many times, especially since I also worked at universities. So I've seen both sides of the public and private industry. And what I always tell them is first start with mapping it out, identify, know what you have, and then you can actually think of your strategy, because you cannot actually have a global vision of what you want to do without knowing what you have. And it's so much easier once you know what you have. Everything like patents, know-how related to the patents, non-patentable know-how, and your own employees' professional expertise, to be able to actually say, okay, this is a strategy that actually works for what we have as a company.
And
And you can
even
start building from that.
Sure. Well, and even defining what you have can be challenging because a lot of
Yes.
people don't really know, or they don't know how to go digging to find these things. So it's great that you can help them, uncover all of this value.
First of all, I really enjoy what I do, because I love working with scientists. I love learning about the secrets and the obviously within the limits of the professional secret of the lawyer. But what I really like is the fact that they already know what they have. I never work in a legal vacuum. I always say I need to have access to your teams. I need to talk to them, because they already know what you have. We just need to work on the structure and clarifying it and being able to trace it, because sometimes it's all in their head, in their brains, and it's just they never actually took the time to put it down in writing in a confidential way, obviously with protective measures around, but structuring it in a way that it can be reused, easily transmissible, from internal needs like training, or for tech transfers externally.
And if they do everything right, so they work with good advisors like yourself, figure out what they have, set up all the policies and procedures, like what kind of benefit can they see? Like why go through all that trouble and effort Like, what's the payoff? What's the benefit at the end of the road?
So there's the obvious payoff of basically being able to build trust when you talk with your investors and your partners. So there's everything that is being able to monetize your know-how, being able to protect your most valuable assets. But for me, one of the things that is always for Oh, I think I'm back.
Welcome back.
Sorry about that. Did I get cut mid-sentence as I was
Uh,
telling
y-
you about the best things ever?
yeah, I'm not sure I even heard the beginning of the answer, so we'll
Oh,
just try to do that again. Okay, let me repeat the
repeat the
question,
question. Yes.
and we can pretend like it never happened. Okay, so I'm wondering what's the benefit or what's the payoff if people take the time and effort to do all of these things well, have good policies, procedures, know what they have, go through training, have great HR onboarding and offboarding. Why bother? What's the huge benefit that they're going to see?
So there's two types of benefits. And the one that's most obvious is the external one. Basically, you will be able to um, monetize and use your know-how and trade secrets to either attract investors or partners, build that trust that makes your business relationships great. The second type that most of my clients don't even think about is the internal value. You actually save so much time. And I'm back.
Third tries the charm.
Do you want to try the question again, or do I just go right in?
Uh, yeah, why don't you just well, now let me ask again and
Okay.
cross our fingers. I'll give up if third time doesn't work. Okay, so I'm curious if you do everything right, or if your client does everything right in terms of training and policies and procedures and knowing what you have, what's the benefit? What's the payoff for them for going through all of this effort and time to understand what their great information is?
So, as I was saying, there's two types of benefit. One is external, and the other one that is quite often forgotten is an internal benefit. Externally, you can not only lower the risk of leaks, of losing your competitive edge, um, but you build confidence with your investors. Your valuation goes up. You have basically able to monetize it with partners. It opens up venues of business partnerships, from licensing to M&As, you name it. Internally, it's also extremely valuable, and sometimes I would argue even more valuable because you avoid duplication. You avoid wasting your team's time trying to find kind of like, oh, do I remember? I think we did this 5 years ago. Where is it? All the data, all the trials and errors that you've had, for example, especially, for example, with clinical trials in biotech and medtech, it's so important to know where it is. And also, when you have new employees come in, the training also takes a lot less time, because you already have done the identification and traceability of your important know-how that you have to pass on. So I think it the consequences are, and the benefits aren't just theoretical. It's not just a legal protection. They hit strategy, they hit trust, and they hit the bottom line.
Oh, that's great. And I certainly agree. I think there's a lot of increased benefits and decreased risks from doing these things properly. And it's really not that much work. Like it's scarier than it really is. Like once you actually do it, it's not that bad. And you can do it gradually. Like you don't have to be perfect tomorrow morning. You can gradually improve your systems, your policies, your training to get to where you want to go. It's a journey, not a magic. Yeah, everything has to be perfect in one day.
I completely agree. And just taking one step, because I've had several startups that asked me, well, what's the minimum that we can do? We're small, we don't have a big budget. Just map out what you have, train your people step by step, and then you can go into a fuller audit later on when you are ready. At the end of the day, really protecting your know-how isn't about the red tape. It's about protecting your science, your people, and your company's value.
Absolutely. Well, and Raluca, we're running up against time, but it's been great talking to you. And I think this is a really good and actually really hard topic that we picked for today. It's been great talking to you about it and getting your perspectives. And thank you again for joining this Reasonable Measures podcast. It's been fun.
Thank you so much, Chris. I loved it.
Okay, we'll talk soon.
Talk soon.